All right, guys. So yesterday we talked about Jamestown and Plymouth, and religion had a lot to do with the formation of Plymouth and the other colonies in Massachusetts. Not so much with Jamestown. Jamestown was purely for money. But we're going to talk about some other colonies that really weren't tied so much with religion. Not all colonies had strictly religious beliefs for the reason they were founded. 1624, the Dutch founded the colony that allowed any Christian. All right, so you can be Catholic, Protestant. Now remember, Protestants, pretty much any Christian that's not Catholic. So that would include the Anglicans, it would include Baptists, Methodists, Wesleyans, all sorts of other religions that they are starting to or denominations that are starting to develop back then. The New Netherlands, because it's founded by the Dutch, people that are called Dutch are from the Netherlands, existed in an area today that is New Jersey, Delaware, and some parts of Pennsylvania and New York. Peter Minuit later adds land to this by purchasing the island of Manhattan from the Native Americans for around $24 worth of goods. Now, just so you guys know, the natives didn't really understand what was going on because the natives didn't have any concept of land ownership. They thought he was paying them for a right to use the land when he was actually buying it. So the Netherlands wants to get lots of people to live there because the more people that live there, the more money they are going to make. So to solve the problem of getting people to settle in the New Netherlands, the Dutch allow any Christian to go there. The colony began as a fur trading post, but because of religious toleration, the population explodes. Like, people aren't literally blowing up, but lots of people are going there. And as a result, the economy becomes extremely diverse. It becomes so large that people are allowed to specialize in different trades. And in 1645, an old soldier named Peter Stuyvesant takes control of the colony. Stuyvesant ruled really harshly, but he was employed by the Netherlands. And because he ruled so harshly, he makes a lot of enemies. And he makes so many enemies that the colonists write to the king and queen of the Netherlands asking for help. But all of their cries for help were ignored. In 1664, the Duke of York arrives with a fleet to capture the New Netherlands. When he arrives, now just so you guys know, Duke, vocabulary word, okay? The word Duke means prince, all right? So he is in line for the throne. His brother is actually the king. His brother is Charles II. The Duke of York will eventually become King James II. But the Duke of York takes over the New Netherlands without firing a single shot. The reason he's able to take over so easily is Stuyvesant made so many enemies that when the Duke of York shows up, the people of the New Netherlands said, "We would rather be conquered by Britain than help you defend it and leave you in charge." And so this area, instead of being the New Netherlands now, becomes New York. New Jersey is eventually bought or formed as well when the Duke of York sells some of the land to his friends Lord John Berkeley and Sir George Carteret. The next colony, all right, we got the Ravens. All right, so this is the colony of Maryland, not Maryland, Maryland. See, here's what happens. Lord Baltimore II decides that he's going to get a colony and start it in honor of the Queen. Her name was Henrietta Maria. All right, now Queen Henrietta Maria, the reason he's starting this colony for her is Henrietta Maria was Catholic. So he's naming it in honor of her. And the English name for Maria is Mary. So he called it Maryland. We've later Americanized it to Maryland. Well, conflicts soon break out between the Catholics and Protestants who began moving there, even though it was a colony for Catholics. So Lord Baltimore II creates the first law allowing religious toleration in America. It was called the Toleration Act. Basically, it said any Christian could live there without any laws restricting their beliefs. Another colony that was founded for kind of religious purposes is the colony of Pennsylvania. Now, the colony of Pennsylvania, although Catholics were hated by the English, they weren't hated near as much as Quakers. The reason they were called Quakers is because they would like get into these religious kind of like things where, you know how you've seen on TV where like the Holy Spirit comes on somebody and they would start shaking, like quaking. So they were called Quakers. This religion was started by George Fox in 1647, and they are hated pretty much everywhere because of their radical beliefs. The Quakers were a group of dissenters. All right, the word dissenter is another vocabulary word. Dissenter means a person that does not agree with the accepted beliefs. All right, so dissenter means to disagree, a person that disagrees. They believed that all people were equal, which today seems like a normal belief, but back then, that was nowhere close to the truth. They believed that they were equal regardless of gender or race, which back then, women weren't accepted as equal, and we know that whites weren't, or that nobody except for whites were seen as equal until the 1900s. So to provide a safe place for his group, a Quaker named William Penn goes to King Charles II of England. See, Charles II owed William's father money, but Charles II is broke. Even though he's king, he's broke. So William Penn goes to him and makes a deal. He says, how about you give me land for the Quakers, and we call the debt even. And so that's what happens. They gave him the land for Pennsylvania. Charles II very quickly agrees to give Penn the land. The colony of Pennsylvania offers religious freedom to all Christians. It prohibits slavery. It offers government care for the poor. Penn personally designed the capital for his new colony called Philadelphia, which in Latin means the city of brotherly love. This city was designed in a checkerboard pattern to make travel easier. So it's the first one that has lines. You basically have blocks. You know, if you look at a map like this, you got little squares all over the place. So it's easier for directions and things like that. In 1862, the Duke of York sold Penn land to the south. In 1776, that land separated from Pennsylvania and became the colony of Delaware. And now we've got one more colony, and that is Georgia. Georgia was a colony founded for losers. The colony of Georgia was founded out of necessity, and it serves two purposes. The first purpose was to serve as a border. Now I notice right here I misspelled border, so I'm going to take this A out of here. As a border between South Carolina and Spanish Florida. See, the Spanish are Catholic. They don't get along with England, who's Protestant. So this way, if the Spanish decide to attack, they kill Georgia, not South Carolina, because South Carolina was extremely wealthy. The second purpose was as a penal colony. All right, main word that you see in penal is penalty. All right, it's a penalty colony. Prisoners were sent there who couldn't pay off their debts. The majority of the prisoners who went to Georgia were sent there because they were in debt. They were poor. The first settlement in Georgia was Savannah. The colony has very, very strict laws and is ruled by this guy named James Oglethorpe. There were no plantations allowed in Georgia because this is a place for prisoners. You're not made to sit there to get wealthy. There's no slavery allowed in Georgia because you're a prisoner. You work, not someone else. There's no alcohol allowed in Georgia. You're in prison. The colonists start complaining about these rules because honestly, after a period of time, the people that are in Georgia weren't necessarily sent there to be in prison. Their parents may have been, but they weren't. So they're being punished for things that their parents had done. And eventually in 1752, this land becomes a royal colony. The king takes control of it. And the king wants to make money. So he decides, we're going to make Georgia just like Carolina. We're going to put plantations in place. We're going to bring slaves in and start making all sorts of money off of rice. And they're put to work on the land. And so very quickly, Georgia goes from being a colony that's for penalties to another money-making colony. All right. So make sure you guys have answered all the questions that you guys had in Schoology. You know, if you have questions, just shoot me an email. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about the founding of South Carolina as a colony.